When you unbox our Helix protector, you'll notice that it's wrapped in bubble wrap. Within that bubble wrap is a baggie that has all the hardware that's needed to install our protectors onto your Helix. So when you start unboxing, don't just throw the bubble wrap away. Somewhere within there is that baggie full of hardware. I don't want you to throw it away by mistake. Okay, and this is the parts list. You'll have 3 of these longer Phillips head screws. You'll have 3 washers, and you'll also have 2 different size spacers. You'll have 3 2mm spacers and 3 3mm spacers. I'll go into more detail with that later. You'll also have an Allen key here, and this Allen key is used to take off the manufacturer's screws on the side of the Helix so that you can use our screws to mount the protector. What is not included is a Phillips head screwdriver. I didn't include that. Most people have a Phillips head screwdriver at home. I apologize if you don't have one. You can pick one up for super cheap at any hardware store to install our protector. When you mount our protector onto the Helix, you always want to have some sort of washer between the screw and the Helix protector. You can either use the included washers here, or if you'd like, you can use this style, which is a washer, and then it also has a cap that covers it, just for a more clean look for some people if they like that. If you're more minimalist, you can just use the washer itself and have the screw head exposed on the side. It doesn't stick out much. It's just a matter of personal preference, so I gave you 2 different options there. So within your shipping box, you're going to get a baggie like this that's going to contain all the tools you need to install our protector onto the Helix. So you just rip open that baggie. Try not to lose anything. So the first thing you're going to locate is the Allen key. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the top left Allen key screw off of the Helix. And keep these screws in case you need to install them back on. And then you'll take the middle Allen screw out on the left side of the Helix. Remember to keep the screws. And then you'll take the top right screw out only. And then take your protector and gently set it on top of your Helix. And you'll see 3 longer screws that come shipped with your Helix. You will need a screwdriver to install this onto your Helix. And there's many different options. You can use a washer and a cap to screw into your Helix so that when it's screwed in, you close the cap and you can hide the screw head. Or you can simply find one of the very thin washers if you like a more minimalist look. And starting with the top left of the Helix, just thread this onto your Helix. Be careful not to over tighten. And then again, the same thing for a minimalist look. You would use the washer. If you want a screw cap, you would just put this right through like that, and your screwdriver. And again, thread that onto your Helix, and then you would just close this cap and wait for it to snap. And that's the look with the cap, and this is the look with just the washer. So a couple different options, whatever you'd like. Also notice 2 different size spacers. With bending the acrylic, there are some tolerance levels that we had to create because not every Helix is the same width. Some of them are different millimeters off. Also, the bending tolerance could make it be a little bit longer off the side of the Helix. So then in that case, rather than over tighten these screws, you can simply put a spacer behind the Helix and you find the right size for your Helix. And you almost put it like a washer behind. And then you just thread the screw on the right side here, there is a little bit of a gap on this unit that I'm installing. So I will use a spacer. I will just put the spacer between the acrylic and the Helix. Thread the screw in and down. And I will just tighten this. Again, very important, do not over tighten the screws on the Helix protector. If you over tighten, you can cause some flex in the protector, and then it won't sit flush on your unit. So it should sit flush. Remember, if it does start to bubble up, just back off the screw just a little bit. So now the helix protector is affixed permanently to the helix. So you'll notice sometimes it may shift left or right or up and down. It's very easy to just back off the screws to adjust the protector. Back off the screws if you need to shift it up a little bit, because there is some play in the screw holes to give you a perfect fit. Sometimes knobs could rub a little bit, so you want to make sure everything is moving freely. You can work the joystick, turn the knobs. See, this knob is a little bit tight, so what we'll do is we'll back this screw off. Make sure this knob can freely move, which it can, and then we'll tighten the screw back up. Same thing on this side. Everything works nice. You could push down for a more flush fit. If you want it to sit higher, you could pull up a little bit. And then you'll just tighten these screws back up. And then your helix is perfectly installed. When using these spacers, when you first put your helix protector onto your helix, you may notice a gap onto the side of one side or the other, or both sides. Whatever the case may be, that's due to the bend tolerance of bending acrylic. There's also some differences, could be a millimeter off here or there between different helixes. I've been noticing some are a millimeter or two or half a millimeter shorter on both sides. So we had to opt for going on the longer side of the acrylic. So if you need and want to use the spacer, that's an option you can do. As you saw in the video, I had to do that on one side. You'll just take the appropriate size spacer and just wedge that between the acrylic and the helix. I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing in the world to do, but if with some patience, it's pretty simple. You can get it done in a few minutes. And you can stack washers if you need to. If there's a bigger gap, you can stack a 3 and a 2, a 2 and a washer, whatever you need. If you have any questions regarding this, or something's not lining up right, it does take a little bit of finesse to get the protector to sit exactly where you want it on your helix. Again, they're not all exactly the same. So you'll finagle the helix as you see in my video. I move it up and down, left to right a little bit, get it exactly where I want it, hold it, and then slowly tighten them screws. Again, please be careful not to over tighten the screws when you put it on to the helix. Any questions, you can always message me through Facebook at Black Raven Design. You can find us on Instagram at blackravendesign6, or you can also email us at blackravendesign6@gmail.com. Again, any questions, if things aren't lining up right or anything you need, please reach out to us. We're happy to help. Thanks, guys.